Today we are going to answer the question of how good is a McLaren 570S at being a first-time budget exotic. Let's climb on board. It's already running, and we are heading off on a road trip to show you just how good a McLaren really is, or is it? So like I said, I wanted to answer the question of, is a McLaren 570S the best entry-level exotic for maybe a first-time buyer like yourself? And to start, those of you who don't know me, my name's Norm from IMCARS. I've been an exotic car dealer for over 10 years now, and I've had the opportunity to own and drive many cool cars like this. And in today's video, I'm actually taking this McLaren on a 600 or 700 kilometer road trip to Kelowna, BC from Calgary. But to answer the question, is this the best exotic? We need to start by looking at what sort of price is this car and what is its comparison. So a car like this is a 17 with 32,000 kilometers. You can actually buy these cars under 200 grand now. You can buy a nice example for this car. We're asking 185, I think. And I've seen these cars dipping into with higher mileage, dipping into the 150, 160 range, which let's just now compare to what you could buy for 150 to 200, let's say. So you can get not a Huracan, definitely, but you could get a LP Gallardo, which is a pretty cool car, but older technology than this and slower, but similar power, but slower car, not dual clutch like this. Ferrari, well, for 150 to 200, you're not touching a 458 or a 488. You've really got to go with a 430, which is like a dated car at this point. Porsche, well, you can't get any of the GT cars. You can't get a GT3 or a 3RS. Actually, a GT3 you can get in that 150 to 200 range for a 14 or 15 car, which I think the GT3 is a great car, but it's not going to have the same exotic effect of the McLaren. You know, this car's got gull-wing doors, which there's nothing else in this price range that does. So this represents a really good competitor compared to other cars in its price range. So like I said, looks are subjective. Some people are going to like the McLaren, some people are going to like a Ferrari, some people are going to like a Lambo, some people are going to like a Porsche. But there's no arguing that when the doors go up, it has a different effect than regular doors, we'll call them. So that is definitely a win for the McLaren, as well as you've got newer technology, a lot of F1 technology, like dual clutch transmissions, which you're not going to get in the a Ferrari or a Lamborghini at this price. Now again, that's not to say that it's again, subjectively better, because some people like the older, rougher, raw, kind of jerky feeling to a car like this. But on paper, they are faster and they are more reliable. So let's just look at that. Porsches, again, you are going to have PDK in the GT3, 1415 GT3, which is comparable transmission to that of the McLarens. So while looks are subjective, one thing that is not subjective is performance stats. And the McLaren 570S is no slouch. So this car will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just over 3 seconds, at 3.2 seconds, and has a top speed of 204 miles per hour. So that's about 330 kilometers per hour versus the LP 560 Gallardo. That does 0 to 100 in about 3.5 seconds. Top speed 201 miles per hour, so a little bit slower. And again, versus the Ferrari F430, which does it in 3.7 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. Half a second slower than this, which is quite a bit at this price point. And that car has an even lower top speed at 196 miles per hour. So, of these three, this is definitely the fastest car. It's also the only turbocharged one. The others are all naturally aspirated V8 and V10 motors. And, again, it's not comparing to cars of the same kind of time frame as this came out, but it's comparing to cars of the same price range, which I feel is more relevant in a comparison like this. seeing that you're likely a first-time buyer or a first-time exotic car owner. So it's not necessarily a totally fair comparison, but if you were comparing this to a 458 of the same gen, or a 488 even, versus a Huracan versus this, you'd be spending between $100,000 and $150,000 more to get into one of those versus a 570S. So let's talk about some of the things I don't like about the McLaren, and where it definitely falls short of versus any Ferrari or any Lamborghini in this price range, or in this sort of era of coming out. So number one is this horrendous infotainment system, which is quite archaic. Even though this car is 6, 7, 8 years old now, this infotainment system is just god-awful. It has been updated in newer McLarens, because there's no way that they'd sell these cars for $500,000 plus if it was this bad. But it is absolutely terrible. As you can see, like, slow, laggy, the navigation barely works, the Bluetooth barely works, and that is just typical McLaren. So that definitely falls short of any Ferrari and definitely any Lamborghini, which of course has Audi infotainment, which is pretty good. Their MMI system, I will say, pretty good, especially in an exotic car. Second thing that I absolutely do not like about this McLaren, and they fall short on, is the power seat controls, which you can see here are extremely hidden, and you basically have to just like fumble your way around into figuring out what works, which direction, and it's absolutely terrible. Not totally sure if this has been updated on newer McLaren models, but in the 570, it's absolute garbage, and just terrible. Again, like, put normal seat controls in, like in a Ferrari or in a Lamborghini. Another thing that I do not like about the McLaren, to be completely honest, is the exhaust sound. Turbocharged, and it sounds like a bit of a vacuum cleaner. So I'm going to put a startup clip of this, a Ferrari, and a Lamborghini, so you can hear the differences. Startup, I'm actually curious, what sound do you like the best? Comment down below and tell me. Personally, Lamborghini for me, but everybody's different. Again, that's a subjective thing, but I feel like most people would agree that the McLaren does not sound the best of those three cars, and it won't even be close to a Porsche GT3 as well, which will sound far superior to this. So for the most part, everything I've told you about this car is actually pretty good. So you're probably sitting here wondering, well, is this the right first-time exotic for me, or an entry-level supercar? And now is the part where I'm going to give you the most important thing to be cautious about with buying a used McLaren, regardless of year and regardless of mileage. And that is maintenance and overall mechanical reliability. This is by far, out of Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, or McLaren, the least reliable option. That is well proven. It's generally acknowledged with British cars over Italian or German cars, but the McLaren is by far the least reliable thing. So you've really got to take that into consideration. You know, if you are looking for something that you will never have issues with, or maybe, you know, to be fully honest, let's say you're like kind of stretching yourself to buy a car like this, I personally would highly advise against buying it. This is not to say that it's not a great car that's extremely fast and what I consider to be a good bargain supercar, but be very cautious with the maintenance side of things. If you are, let's just say you can financially afford a large repair and you don't mind a car going in the shop for a week, 2, 4, and you have another car at your access or your disposal, and you're not scared of that part of the ownership experience, then I would say, yeah, McLaren all day out of those. It is by far, like I said, it's a bargain supercar. It's extremely fast. I think they're great looking. The performance is incredible. But maintenance, that's a big one that you've got to be cautious of. So, hey, do I think that this is a first-time exotic car owner car? Probably not. But let's say you're coming out of one of those other, maybe touch older supercars like an LP 560 or a pre-LP Gallardo or a 430 Ferrari, or even a Porsche GT3. So you've had that little taste of ownership experience. You're maybe not scared of the maintenance because you've had one of those cars, and now you just want something a little bit newer, a little bit better, but you're still not scared of that maintenance. McLaren is a great choice. So don't get me wrong, I personally would actually buy a Lamborghini or a Ferrari over a McLaren, but a McLaren 570 to be clear, but there's the caveat that it is a lot more money. So if you're prepared to spend the extra $100,000, yeah, all day long, Lamborghini or Ferrari. But if you want the kind of budget option that's still a great car, McLaren. Cautious of maintenance, as I've said. So if you're interested in knowing how this car drives on the track, I posted a video about that, so I'll link that in the video description, as well as you can see that up in the top right hand corner right now. So check that out. We're going to put this car through the paces at Area 27 racetrack, and maybe it'll give you a good feel of how this car is to drive at 10 out of 10 in a safe, responsible environment. So check that video out. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what your questions or comments are down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. All right, if you enjoyed this video, if you could do me a huge favor, click the like button down below, check out some of our other videos on the channel, and be sure to subscribe. It literally takes 1 second, and it helps our channel out grow immensely. I actually like that one the best. The final one's the best.